once we know, like, we have some secure funding and some credibility to work with, and then we'll have a better perform at that point.
I have a question about this, the the modular builder. I had toured a facility. And they said they do modular built to the specs and qualifications of stick built, which is by definition not modular. Does LIT follow basically building to code? So you, in a sense, have a stick built home, if we all know what that means, once it gets plunked on the foundation. I mean, well, since it's modular, that
is.
apparently is not necessarily.
Prefab, it is prefab, so yes. It
But
is not built to it is not built to the standards of a manufactured home. It's a prefab home, so it does require local building codes, I believe.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
I have a
And
question.
I was just gonna say that there's a on the building who covers the permitting. I believe they cover the permitting for the construction, and we cover, right now anyways, the permitting for the site and installation.
In regards to your financial stack, is there any other sources of funding that you're looking at? As far as not just private equity, but loans or something to get this off the ground?
Yeah,
So-
we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna start exploring. So this is our first pitch, and
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
just getting in here and I
Yeah.
feel like, look at the feasibility of the project as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, like
So
all
we are-
projects. Looking for other funds that can support them.
We are prepared. We are not planning to use loans, but we will seek more private funding if required. We have more resources available ourselves as well. But it does also have to pencil out. We don't want to do 4 units. We want to do more than 4 units, essentially.
The ROI is pretty low on this. It's more like more of a passion project. I brought Amit here as well. He got interested in the idea to do some gap funding as well. So we'll see. So we have some private equity available as well as look at other lines of funds.
What will the 80,000 be used for?
Right now, it will be more on the site planning and so we have done some preliminary work, but we want to do site surveys and everything just to get it off the ground. Plus, it will help us build rapport with the local codes and stuff and get permits much faster if we have some backing from the county.
Is this eligible for CERTA funds? And if so, is that being looked at? The space efficient housing?
This could qualify for certain, yes, and we intend to submit an application for it.
Is that the one, Parker, that you said Nehalem is not currently a partner with?
No, that was the ordinance 85 tax abatement
Okay.
program. But
Oh,
that's
yeah, that's right.
talk about and get that clear in the pipeline if possible.
Does anybody else have any questions? Well, I think they're all silent. Well, thank you so much
Well,
for
thank you.
coming.
Thank you.
Next up, it's my pleasure to introduce Lucy Corbett from Community Development Partners. The project is in Manzanita. This is a 72-unit multifamily project in the Highlands area. Their request is for $125,000, and they have not requested or received Housing Production Solutions funds before. Lucy, welcome.
Thank you very much. And I believe Andy Shaw from Northwest Oregon Housing Authority is also going to be joining us. I don't see him yet, though. Let me just send him a quick message to make sure that he has the login info.
While she's looking at that, what is a lich application? LITCA? No.
I was fine.
Oh, pardon me. LIHTC,
Oh, low income tax credit?
Low income housing
Oh.
tax credit.
Gotcha. Not to be confused with the LIP.
Correct.
Okay.
I remind everybody that we are just terrible at acronyms and names things in housing. It's just our big weak point. By affordable can mean many things.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, I sent Andy a message. Hopefully he'll be joining shortly, but, would you like me to jump in? I know you guys are on a schedule.
Would you like me to bring your slides up or are you able to share them?
I can try to share.
We can see it.
Great. And I'm just gonna see if I can advance. Is that working on your end?
It is.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you for having me. I'm here to present Manzanita Heights, which is our working name for this project in Manzanita. And again, my name is Lucy Corbett. I am with Community Development Partners. And then again, hopefully we'll be joined shortly by Andy Shaw, the Executive Director of Northwest Oregon Housing Authority. This project is a partnership between our organizations. And we will present a bit about our organizations, our vision and goals for the project, where we are currently, and some more information. And then take your questions. Just check really quickly to make sure I don't see Andy yet. So I will just go ahead. So again, this is a partnership project between NOHA and CDP. This will be our third project that we will be doing together. The first two were Broadleaf Arbor, which is a project that was completed in 2023 and is in St. Helens. And then Owens Adair 2 is currently under construction in Astoria and is on track to be completed later this spring. And to give you a little bit of background on NOAA, NOAA is the Regional Housing Authority for Clatsop, Columbia, and Tillamook counties. They own 704 units of affordable rental housing and are have another almost 200 in their pipeline. The 50 currently under construction is the Owens Adair project that we are working on with them. They also operate the Housing Choice Voucher Program that serves over 1,200 low and very low income households and provide property management and resident services functions as well. CDP is an affordable housing development company. We were founded in 2011 and have offices in Southern California and in Portland. We began with developments just in Oregon and California, but have grown to develop now in Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and Colorado. We partner with nonprofit organizations in some capacity on almost every project. So this type of partnership with NOAA is pretty common for us. We typically hold our projects for the long term. In the case of this project, we're actually acting as the development consultant for NOAA. So we will be taking the lead development, role. And then when the project construction is completed, we will turn it over to NOAA for their long-term ownership and operation of the project. And then we have a strong focus on sustainability, ecology, and art, and that those show up in a pretty meaningful way in most of our projects. And we plan to incorporate those elements in this project. We're also a certified B Corporation. So for this project, our goals include providing workforce housing and affordable housing for Manzanita and the North Coast. To diversify the options and housing affordability levels in Manzanita specifically. Right now, there's a project under construction by Home First Development that is just adjacent to our project site, which will provide housing for households between 30 and 60% of AMI. We are intentionally providing some units at the 80% AMI level just to provide higher income and a more workforce focus in our project. And that's been informed by the housing needs analysis the county recently published, as well as other feedback we've received. And then also have a goal to just develop a cost-efficient model that could work in other communities like Manzanita, coastal communities, and other non-metro areas across the state. The project overview. So obviously we're in Manzanita, and you can see our site here is a uniquely shaped site, almost 8 acres. It does have a restrictive covenant that requires us to build a minimum of 68 units of housing at 120% of AMI or below. Our project is 72 units, so we're a couple units above that minimum. And it's located in the Highlands neighborhood, which is a newer neighborhood in Manzanita. It's largely single-family homes at this point, but it also includes that Home First development. And then our development will add even more multifamily affordable. We have site control currently, and the plan is to transfer site control, to NOAA, and then NOAA would purchase the site at our tax credit closing. Some features of our project. You can see a site plan here. So we have 3 residential buildings. They're all essentially the same footprint and unit mix in each of these buildings. And that's part of the concept for cost-efficient housing, is to be able to create this kind of modular building form that can be replicated quite easily. And then we also have a small community center, which you can kind of see at the corner there where the streets come together. So we've got 72 units, a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. We also have a higher than required number of accessible units. And then we're also hoping to have the low embodied carbon program that the state is a new state funded program, but it's currently with the Department of Justice. So that is pending whether we'll be able to utilize that program. If we are, though, that would enhance the sustainability features of this project. We have 36 one bedrooms, so 50% of the units are 1 bedrooms, 27 2 bedrooms, and 9 3-bedrooms. Again, that unit mix has been informed by a lot by the housing needs analysis and the indication that there are just smaller households here in general. And so we do want to provide a range of unit types, but we're more focused on smaller households based on the data that we have seen. And again, we have 15 type A units, so that's a fully accessible units, 8 mobility accessible units, and then 3 vision and hearing units. So all of those percentages are at least double what we're required to provide. And then our income range here, we have 8 units at 30% of AMI, and we are planning to have those units have vouchers attached to them for additional rental support. 49 of the units are at 60% of area median income, and then 15 at 80%. And then just the corresponding income ranges for those AMI levels are shown here. These are based on the 2025 income limits for Tillamook County. The income and rent limits are usually published around spring, April, or May of every year. So these will change a bit soon for 2026. Here is just a overview of our proposed funding structure. So we are planning to apply for the 9% low-income housing tax credit through the state of Oregon. That application is due later this month, and that, if awarded, will provide the equity needed for this project and the substantial, bulk of the sources for the project. We're also, with that same application, going to be applying for LIFT funds, 1.1 million. The low embodied carbon grant, we have put that application in, and it's just in pending status, as I mentioned. We do plan to have a permanent loan, some deferred developer fee, and then the ORMAP funds, and that's a program that funds sustainability features through the state. And then the Tillamook County Housing Production Solutions Fund grant that we're discussing today. I'm showing that here, and that's a critical piece, and I'll talk a little bit more about why that's so important. And then just the breakdown of hard costs, land costs, soft costs that make up our uses on the right-hand side. So just a little bit more about the grant, your grant through Tillamook County, and why that's critical to this project. While it's a small proportion of the overall sources that we need, it has the potential to unlock that tax credit award that I was mentioning. So that is over $18 million potentially in funds, tax credit equity, and also the state LIFT funding. And that is because that application includes points for local support of $100,000 or more, and it's one of their tiebreaker criteria. So it could make a huge difference if we get into situation where we're tied with another project, if we can show that we have that local support. Not only is it great to just have that and be able to say that the county supports this project, but also could make the difference in our tax credit award. So really important, and we're happy to be able to present the project to you all today. A little bit about the timeline. So right now we are in our schematic design phase, which is our first of our 3 design phases. And then some of the renderings you see here are kind of showing where we've gotten to so far with the design. We are a few weeks away from submitting our pre-application to the city of Manzanita, which will be kind of kicking off our land use process. So we will follow that with a formal land use application and then building permit application to the city. The 9% tax credit application is due on the 25th of February. Those awards are expected in June of this year. And then if we are awarded, we're hoping to start the project as early as the end of this year or early 2027 with about 15-month construction duration. And that wraps up my slides. I'm not sure if Andy was able to join. I've been looking at the slides here. Sorry, I heard something, but I don't think it was Andy. No. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the project. And thank you again.
Sorry, go ahead. Well, it's a great project. Like your cost per unit, like the way you put this presentation together. Those low-income housing tax credits are the key to everything, and that's, I understand that our contribution provides that leverage. That's great. In your pro forma, you've got a couple of numbers here that I'm not familiar with. One of them is payroll expenses, $125,000. Will you have a full-time person there? And what role they play?
So we do expect to have on-site property management staff and resident services staff. And in terms of their number of hours at the property, I don't think we've quite, finalized that, but we do typically, our rule of thumb is provide a full-time manager for every 75 units. So we're at 72 units, so I would expect we probably have a full-time manager and at least, I'm not sure if we do full-time maintenance, but we would definitely have a maintenance staff also included in our property management staffing. So that person will be staffed in the community center. We have 2 offices in that building, as well as some kind of more flexible workspace. And they're just there to, oversee the property, obviously, provide leasing services, answer questions or help residents if they have issues with their units. And then we are planning to contract with Cornerstone for our resident services, and they're currently also going to be providing resident services for the Home First development, which is just across the road from us. So we think that they'll have some really nice synergy, given that they're already in the area.
What do those resident services, what is it comprised of?
So Cornerstone Services, they provide a number of different functions, but they have health and wellness programs, they have youth development programs, financial stability programs, and then kind of just events. So, just providing community events. So they provide kind of a wide range of services from, I think, helping residents just with their stability in housing and making sure that they're retaining housing and, promoting upward mobility, but also creating sense of community through on-site events and youth programs. I think they have a food and nutrition set of programs too. So they provide a diversity of options.
Thank you.
So you had mentioned that some of the 8 units that were at 30%, were going to have HUD vouchers. Are all of those 8 going to have HUD vouchers? And then is there a requirement with the HUD vouchers to do some of those Cornerstone project, or like the things that you were just describing from Cornerstone? Does that tie into the HUD voucher requirements?
So we are hoping to have vouchers for all those units so that they will, just provide that additional, rental support for those residents at the very low income. And then I don't think there's any requirement, that comes from the voucher to provide services, but we, definitely believe that it's important to have a service component for any resident, who wants to opt into those services. And obviously, different households will take advantage of those, and the ones that fit them, and they have interest in. So we would expect, it will vary by household, which programs they are interested in and, need. So they'd be programs and services open to all levels.
Perfect. And I appreciate you looking at, again, that mixed use of both like, HUD vouchers house our most vulnerable populations within our community. So being able to go in and just like have accessibility to a variety of AMIs is a really cool thing. So thank you.
My question, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who doesn't know this, but when NOAA takes ownership, you still run the site?
No, so at that point, in this case, we will not. We are just acting as a development consultant, and then NOAA will take over overseeing property management functions, asset management functions, and long-term operations.
And at any point, can NOAA change the AMI ratio that is in the planning?
They would not be able to change it, they'll be entering into regulatory agreements that will set those levels for at least 30 years in this case, but potentially longer. And so I think they, would be able to voluntarily charge lower rents than the highest levels, but you couldn't charge higher levels of rent, if that makes sense.
My question was just if the low income tax credit could still potentially be available without the local match. But it's not exclusively contingent upon it.
Yeah, it really depends on, it's not a requirement. No, it's just a tiebreaker to, as a part of the application. So it's very helpful because that 9% tax credit application is quite competitive. So having, as many points as possible just puts us in the best position. But it's not a requirement to have a local match.
Are there any other local Tillamook County sources beyond us?
Have you looked into the CCO? To the housing funding through the CCO?
We have not looked at that. I just recently became aware of that, so I will be looking into that more. The other source of funds that is tied to the county is that low embodied carbon grant, and that is a state fund, but it's allocated to Tillamook County. So we did apply through Tillamook County for those funds, and again, those are their status is just a little bit uncertain at this point.
That's the Merle, right?
No, this is
Serta.
Serta.
Oh, Serta.
And Lucy, and just yesterday or the day before, I forget, we did get the DOJ approved contract documents from DEQ.
Excellent.
So we'll be in contact next week to sort that out. And I'll just add for anybody who's not aware, B Corp is a beneficiary, benefit corporation. It's a for-profit enterprise that is committed to certain social values to make them, to identify them as socially aware.
Question, did you guys consult with the surrounding neighbors behind your development? Because I think that was a bone of contention with your adjacent neighbors, the
Yeah.
project going.
Well, we have not directly consulted yet. That's kind of that will be part of the process, through our pre-application and land use application. We'll be doing more public outreach. I will say we're purchasing the property from the Highlands original developers, and so they're, very aware, obviously, of that neighborhood. And so we're, grateful that they're looking to provide affordable housing and actually voluntarily put the restrictive covenant on this piece of land that restricts these units to 100%, or sorry, 120% AMI and below. So they are obviously aware that this project is being proposed, but no, we will be doing more outreach to the community as we start our public application processes.
So it's probably too early to know how tall the buildings will be, because that is a local issue.
You can tell Mark is from Manzanita.
We know they're going to be 3-story buildings, at least that's what we're proposing. And so they'll be in the 30 to 35 foot range.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming and presenting to us today. And we are gonna wrap up this presentation, so thank you. And
Thank you very much.
it looks like we are headed into a short break before we have our last 2 presentations.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna leave the meeting audio going for this break.
That's dangerous.
Thank you.
You got one on your behalf.
Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna go out in the hall. to
There
call
you
my
go,
husband
there
back.
you go.
It's
Right.
It won't matter.
Oh. Is that- That's it.
Louder and louder. One person. Does this need more money? Yeah.
Right on. Hey, thank you. Yeah. I think it's like turn the clicker off before you, and then nice to meet you. But I think I got there. Read that to notes. Thank you, we'll be in touch.
Let these projects demonstrate the minimum expected amount of funding for our local people. We have to be able to provide.
So it's only things like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, it's kind of project dependent. Some funders require that, others don't.
Yeah.
That's depends on the project. Yeah.
Most of the ones that get the big state and federal grants, they have to have some kind of, it gives them extra points.
Yeah, it's
To give them an edge in the very competitive grant market that they're in.
Yeah.
You've got to have that money. It's better than.
I'm glad to show us that question.
Yeah.
It's really not, there's a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
I just want to share with everyone, we're not using.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not,
That's 4 years, stretching all over and.
Okay.
And of course.
Hey, Mark, can you hear us?
I can indeed. Hi, Parker.
Hi, nice to see you. We'll introduce you in just a moment, Mark, and everyone's just sitting down and getting ready.
Thank you. I just want to confirm, are you gonna switch slides or do you want me to screen share?
Screen sharing is easiest, but I also have your slide deck here. If you would prefer, I'm happy to do that.
It might be less technically problematic if you would be good enough to just advance the slides for me.
I'd be happy to. Give me one moment. I'm gonna get that set up, and then right before we do that, I'm gonna let Elizabeth introduce you, and I'll get ready.
So
Thank
we have joining us next, Mark Johnson with the Nehalem Bay Health District. They're working on a workforce housing project up there at the site of the old Reinhardt Clinic. They are looking to construct 35 units there. And their project request is 50,000. We're gonna watch some renderings look like.
Yes, theme of the day. Did everybody see that online?
It's showing up.
It is? Okay, great. Let me just start your slideshow and you're good to go.
Well, thank you very much, Parker and Elizabeth and members of the commission. Real pleasure to have an opportunity to visit with you for a few minutes this afternoon. And thank you very much for facilitating me joining the meeting by technology. We've been on a little bit of an extended road trip to visit our oldest son in southern Arizona, and we're working our way back up through California. Highway 101 goes all the way down. I'm happy to report. And I'm zooming in from the public library in Cupertino, where they were nice enough to accommodate me in the teen room, which I hope doesn't speak ill of the presentation. In any event, there must be an Apple store around here someplace. Seriously, really appreciate the opportunity to talk about the health district's aspirations to develop workforce housing in Wheeler, North County. And I'll cut right to the chase and say, by way of summarizing our request of the Housing Commission, it is for pre-development dollars to allow us to prepare a pro forma that would prove up what we believe could be anywhere between 30 and 36, maybe even a few more housing units that would be primarily directed toward healthcare and other essential workers in our part of Tillamook County, and would allow us to address what we believe is an absolutely strategic need, which is to provide housing alternatives, particularly for healthcare workers, but also other essential workers in the area, in order to be able to recruit and retain that kind of a workforce for the long term. So we would use your support to develop that pro forma, to develop a request for proposals for developers. Since we're a public entity, we will have to go through a competitive process to select that developer, and then hopefully emerge from that process no later than the third quarter of this year with an overall strategy for how we're going to proceed and fund the project. So Parker, if you'd advance the slide to the next one, I'd appreciate it. Just quickly, a little background on the health district. As I suspect most of you know, we recently finished a major project in North County, the new Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy building, constructed in beautiful downtown Wheeler. And that has kind of freed up a little bit of bandwidth for the district now to engage in two other priorities. Renovation of the Nehalem Valley Care Center, our skilled nursing facility, and do the pre and hopefully eventual development work to create some housing alternatives in North County. We're the smallest health district in Oregon with a very small operating levy. The district dates back to the 1950s, but we have, thanks to an energetic board, been able to take on some fairly significant new projects, including the successful completion of the new health center. And as I mentioned, we also own the skilled nursing facility, the Nehalem Valley Care Center. Between those two facilities, the health center and the care center, 80 plus staff are employed in healthcare in North Tillamook County, the largest employer in North County. We serve an increasingly aging population as well as an economically disadvantaged population. I think it's a good time for us to move forward on housing because the district's public profile, thanks to the new health center, is significantly higher than it has been in the past, and I hope more positive, is seen as more positive. And we, because of the health center project, have developed a variety of, I hope, enduring partnerships with the cities in our community, in our area, with folks at Tillamook County, particularly the county commissioners and our staff at the Development Services Department, which has been very helpful in seeing our projects through to completion last fall. And because we needed to raise substantial money for the health center project, we have a really strong set of relationships with a variety of Oregon foundations that we believe will be helpful in advancing our housing strategy. What we seek to do is redevelop the site where the Reinhardt Memorial Hospital has stood since the early 1950s. This is a shot of the hospital, probably about 1955, 56. The hospital is in very dilapidated condition. All of the folks who have been tenants in one way or another inside the building have been relocated. And we are on the verge of beginning the environmental restoration work that needs to happen at the old hospital in order to get us to the point where we could actually demolish and do site preparation for housing. So the site is the old Wheeler Hospital up on the hill. As you can see in this schematic, the area at the bottom of the screen, sure if you can see it as well as I would like, but that's the footprint of the old Wheeler Hospital. Yeah, maybe Parker can put his cursor on the old hospital site.
It's hard looking from the side, but I'll highlight it for you guys when we send out and follow.
The old hospital site and the adjacent area next to it, which is vacant ground right now, and a few parking spaces, with a number of parking spaces behind the old hospital. That would be the location for housing development. Adjacent to the care center, which is on the immediate left-hand side of the screen, and the old Reinhardt Clinic, which has now been relocated down the hill, sits across the parking lot. So by putting housing on this site, we would literally have a walking distance to work for staff members at the care center and down the hill to the health center. So considering that those 80 plus people right now, virtually no one lives in the community or the adjacent communities. They're all commuters from Seaside, from Gerhardt, from Tillamook, and even farther afield. So having those housing alternatives close to where people work would be a huge advantage, we believe, in recruiting and retaining that workforce. Next slide, if you would. Thank you. So a couple of challenges we face obviously is the demolition cost of the old hospital, which could be in the neighborhood of $400,000 to maybe more. Thankfully, we know from the environmental analysis that we've done that the hospital has some asbestos and lead paint, but not nearly as much as you might think for a building of its vintage. And to state the obvious, we have limited district expertise and staff to pursue a workforce housing project. But we also have a list of some serious opportunities. The district owns the property free and clear. It's not encumbered in any way. Kind of interesting to note that the old hospital was built in the early 50s under a conditional use permit. So the area actually is zoned for residential use. We have a very strong relationship with the city of Wheeler, and we believe that they're interested, and we know they're interested in working with the district to prove up this concept and bring these housing units online in North County. And as I mentioned, we have a head start on the existing residential zoning. Other thing I would mention just quickly is that the district, because obviously all these facilities have operated in the past, we have utilities on site, water, electricity, sewer. The street system is in good shape and would need fairly minimal enhancement in order to accommodate the housing that we envision. So finally, our real objectives here, as I mentioned at the outset, is to address medical staff retention and recruiting challenges that we know are related to available housing. We have had folks at both the care center and the health center who have been recruited and been on the verge of committing to coming to work in the community who, for the obvious reason of not being able to find suitable housing for them and their families, did not take the employment opportunity. The district would retain public ownership of the property in perpetuity. We're open to a variety of leasing and management arrangements to operate the apartments, the housing when it is developed. Envision a mix of studio 1 and 2 bedroom units, some of which could be reserved for visiting specialists, doctors who would bring a particular specialty to the new health center or to the care center, might visit the location, once or twice a month for a day or two, and will need some housing in order to facilitate their visit to the community to take care of people. And of course, because like all local units of government, we're strapped for cash. If there's an opportunity to create a modest revenue stream for the district, that would be highly desirable. But what we're really trying to do, first and foremost, is address the long-term challenge of recruiting and retaining locally based healthcare workers as well as other essential workers. And I would lump the school district into that as well, which might provide an opportunity for pre-leasing of some of these units to entities where they know they're going to need housing and would actually commit to a lease up front to support some of the development costs. So that's the essence of my proposal. I've suggested a very 30,000-foot view budget for 30 or so units. But what we really need to do is hire the expertise to help us prove up those concepts. As I said earlier, retain a development partner and see if we can't get this project really rolling. So Parker and commissioners, I'll leave it at that and try to respond to any questions that you all may have. And thanks again for the opportunity.
Mark, I understand that this $50,000 is to bring a consultant in to put together a pro forma for you?
To put together a pro forma, to do the analysis in cooperation with the city of Wheeler, to determine exactly how many units we could develop on the site based upon the city's density requirements, parking requirements, what flexibility they might have. Could we do 2-level units? Could we maybe do a couple of 3-level units? Those are the kinds of things that we really need to drill down on, that we just don't have the expertise to undertake on our own. Second part of the engagement would be to advise the district on the preparation of a request for proposal to development partners And we've had at least a couple, three nonprofit developers in Oregon express interest in the project, knowing that the district owns the property, has these aspirations. And hopefully a consultant would help us prepare that RFP so that we could actually identify a development partner that would work with us to bring it about.
Have you identified who that consultant will be?
We have not, although we have worked with a Portland-based consultant, John Southgate, who Commissioner Scar brought to our attention some time back as a resource for the district, that when Erin was at CARE, she provided the district with some support to work with John, and he worked with our architect team to do some initial site planning on the site. So John would be a candidate. And I'm sure there are a number of other folks that we would look to get proposals from to help us with this project.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you done any,
Thank you.
have you done any preliminary checking, mainly with sewer, to see what the capability of their system is for the amount of housing you're looking at?
Yes, and I would stress preliminarily that analysis has been done. So we have, a 50-bed skilled nursing facility on the site. We have the old hospital, which in its operational days had 25 to 30 beds, plus all the staff that went along with that hospital. The old Reinhardt Clinic building, a building of about 5,500 square feet, obviously was connected into the local sewer system and water system. So obviously a lot of that infrastructure is pretty dated and would have to be upgraded. But I think in general terms, we know where those lines are. We know the capacity that historically they have serviced. So I think it's not too much of a leap of faith to think that we could figure that out without a lot of difficulty.
This is Michelle Yank. I just want to say, having worked within population health improvement, healthcare, public health, I think this is a very important project and very good opportunity to repurpose some space and buildings for workforce housing, for healthcare and education. It's all definitely in the wheelhouse of this, the mission that we have here, and well within an ongoing need. When I started my tenure here, we had Adventist Health had 70 open nurse positions, and there wasn't housing for really a single one of those people 5-6 years ago. So we're making a lot of progress, but we're by no means where we need to be. So I applaud you for working toward this goal. I think it's important.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments and couldn't agree more about the need for housing for healthcare workers. It's obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we know of a number of cases where we've been out recruiting folks for the care center and the health center, and they just could not find suitable housing anywhere near the community. So even addressing a small piece of that would be a huge leap forward. I'm sort of reminded of the historical circle that we've been dealing with these projects that the health district has been involved in. The new health center and pharmacy building is located on the site of that was once owned by the Wheeler Lumber Company. And Wheeler Lumber Company in, I believe it was 1914, imported into the community or hired into the community the original Dr. Reinhardt to be the health director for the sawmill workers. And the company was providing a lot of housing for workers at that time as well. And we may be coming full circle on that kind of approach to hopefully maybe with a little better accommodations than sometimes were offered to workers 100 years ago. But nonetheless, a need in a rural area to provide housing for critical workers is no different now, I guess, than it was more than 100 years ago. So there's some circle there that we're trying to close again.
Mark, this is Mark Kestner. Is it too early to think about whether the Nehalem Health Center would pre-lease or have 10 or 20 units guaranteed for your own workers? Or does that violate anyhow? Is that something you're thinking about?
Well, it's definitely something we're thinking about. I can't put a number on it today, Mark. But during the development of the pro forma, that would definitely be something that we would drill down and define. I think frankly, it's more likely that the care center would be the number one candidate for pre-leasing, simply because of, as some of you know, the chronic national shortage of nursing staff, RNs, LPNs, CNAs, and a lot of CNAs work in skilled nursing facilities. Having the ability to provide housing for even contract nurses would be a huge saving to the care center and the entity that operates the care center. So I think that would be our number one target. Second target, I think, would be trying to make sure that we could set aside some housing for specialty healthcare workers who would not be necessarily permanent residents in the community, but would rotate in and out from time to time to provide specialty services at the health center or at the care center. So I think those would be two at the top of the list. And then I think the third alternative, and we haven't in all honesty talked to the school district at any detail about this, would be whether the school district might be a candidate for some pre-leasing arrangements as well. Certainly on our radar screen.
Right.
So a couple things. I feel like when I talked to a nurse, maybe the one that was the gal that was actually running the care center at one time, she said they weren't operating at capacity because of the workforce shortages. Is that accurate?
It is accurate. The facility is licensed for 50 beds, and the typical census is between 26 and 34 patients. There are a few rooms that we need to renovate and bring back online to get up to that full capacity of 50. But even the more limiting factor is staffing. No question about it. But as I'm sure you know, at one point when you staff for 26 patients, it doesn't take a great increment of staffing to get to 34 or even 40 patients above that. But staffing is a really, really, really big challenge. And like most places in rural America, the care center has to rely on contract staffing, which is very expensive. And part of the deal is you have to provide housing for those folks. So potentially we could address that, but also would like to address it in the way that we got permanent employees engaged in the community, living there, contributing to the economy, et cetera. And that would be the long-term objective.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Just one question. Have you already applied for a brownfield grant to help with the rehabilitation of the property?
We have worked with Business Oregon and have a grant proposal pending. And part of the reason it is pending is Oregon DEQ required a public comment period, which ended on Monday of this week. So we're hopeful, very hopeful, that funding will come through, which will offset the cost of the environmental remediation work, which largely consists of removing asbestos and lead paint in the building. And that obviously is a prerequisite to getting to the point where we could actually demolish the building. So very hopeful that Business Oregon will support that proposal. And they seem particularly attracted to the idea that we intend to redevelop the property for housing. And in fact, they have, Business Oregon has funded a project in Southern Oregon where an old medical facility was decommissioned and repurposed for housing. So they have some experience in dealing with that kind of a proposal. And I hope we'll hear very soon that they have okayed our grant application. And if that happens in the near term, we would get right after that environmental remediation just as soon as we can get it scheduled with an environmental remediation consultant. We have that firm already on contract, ready to do the work as soon as the funding source in hand.
I just have a quick comment. I actually had a conversation a couple of days ago with the school superintendent from Neoconi. And in the context of the conversation, it came up that they are struggling with retention overall, but especially among the classified staff, which are the lower paying, and that's part. So if you can bring the rents down, then the pay isn't such a problem. So that's just something else to keep in mind. But I think that, yes, I'm sure that there will be interest in the part of the school district in this and in the Manzanita proposal that was shared earlier too.
Thanks. I want
Thank
to
you.
make sure,
Appreciate that.
Mark, if you don't mind, I want to make sure that Jackie, if you have anything you'd like to add, I want to give you a moment here. Thank you for coming and being in person with us.
Welcome. I'm Jackie Hinton, also with the Nehalem Bay Health District. And I think Mark, as usual, covered everything quite thoroughly, but wanted to be here in support, and I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have, or if any come up after the meeting and you see me around, please ask. Thank you all for taking the time today to hear our proposal.
And thank you, Jackie, for taking time to be there today. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, commissioners. Really appreciate the work that you all are doing and Parker and Elizabeth are doing. Couldn't be more important.
I'm not really sure that there's just like.
I'll just move around for you.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Exciting. You want to shift this a little more this way? Perfect. Well, I'm definitely gonna change. I've been sitting in those streets for too long. Okay, now when you're ready.
That makes us go away by. And it's shared. That's fine. I see in the room.
Wake up.
I know,
I've been good about that.
Yeah. No. Last night, we didn't finish up right one.
Now it's here. Now I have to move this one up. That's here. I need that speed. Oh, oops, that's not, oh, shoot.
You
Sorry.
can go in any order because I didn't create it, so I don't know.
And I'm just, each of these is a little bit different to share
Oh, I
the
can
screen
see if I
on.
can- I'm gonna just.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and then I'll pull it back.
That's it.
Got
Okay.
it.
Got it?
Yeah.
So,
You can look at my screen if it's easier.
thank you. I just need to start the slideshow. And then people see it online?
Yes.
Okay, you're good.
Okay, so wrapping up our applications today, we have Tillamook County Habitat for Humanity and Russell Rumpel. The project name is Habitat for Humanity. The description is 2 cottage clusters with 6 units each and 2 duplexes for a total of 16 units. Project request is $100,000 and they have not come before the Housing Commission before to request funding.
Thank you. I'm not Russell Renfro. He let me know on my drive here that it would be me, and me not knowing what the slide deck even looks like. So we'll have a good adventure together. I of course do know well about it, so it'll be fine. So the L Properties is the property that Tacoma County Habitat for Humanity already owns. We're really looking forward to developing it and it to be the most it can be, but also still really provide a community and be a space that people are proud of and happy to live and own there. We do use a model that is, we sell our homes at an affordable price. We'll talk about our affordability covenant that we currently use and what we'll move forward with this project using in subsequent slides. But we originally, when we applied for this, because life moves so quickly, we were looking at 12 units as cottage clusters in that short interim of a couple months, even though we've been talking to the city of Bay City for over 2 years about this, and they said 12 is great. We have been reduced to 8 cottage clusters. Well, 8 different
Total
cottages. Yes, total units. Well, total units for that area. Yeah, so it gets rough, but still going to be a substantial build for us. It will be all together. The L Properties would still be 12 units. Our vision for the cottage clusters is hopefully to make some of this be like a veterans cluster where veterans they'll be living door to door next to each other and we'll have that community. We know that there is a need for that in this community and for veterans as a whole, where they tend to have a harder time not just self-isolating. And this would really help them with all the negatives that come from self-isolating. So it's very exciting. We're stoked to do it. We have applied for LIFT. Well, we're in the process, of applying for LIFT funding. We've applied for funding through the Oregon Business Development. I don't know, there's so many letters. Like you said, you people and your letter. No, I'm just kidding. And we are poised to at some point apply for Merle and CERTA as well. So definitely, it's going to take a lot of funding. The big problem with this project for us is there's no infrastructure. The infrastructure itself to just even let us start looking at it is going to be $800,000. So that's to get the plumbing, like the piping, the water, the sewer, a road, well, substantial road, 2 sets of roads. So there's a lot of infrastructure to get us started. Once we have done that, we will be very efficient and good at our jobs. That's what we do. We have a good history in being good stewards of the finances that was blessed with. We do build our houses with, it's nice. Oh, I like it. We'll go there. We do build our houses, as you can tell on the left-hand side, it's stucco. That's because it's an insulated concrete form house, so it's not a stick-built house. The it really is an interesting process. And at first you're like, are we building stable houses? Is this real or is this not? Because when you put it together, it's seriously insulation, like little Lego bricks that's hollow. But then you put a substantial amount of rebar and fill that with cement. And now you have a far more stable house than any other houses on the market. It helps with all the things from pest control to once you get the temperature in that house, it pretty much will stay. Like you have to choose to change it because it's so well insulated. So it's just when there's hurricanes and terrible things, you'll see these houses stay up, whereas the others do not. So it is more of an investment on our part, but it's a long-term investment for what we're doing and what we believe as Habitat is partnering with the families and helping them to have success. And that success is a lower electricity bill for them. That success is rodent and pest control. So they, are able to stay safely in their home. So this is one of our most recent houses, and we get the privilege of partnering with a lot of Tillamook volunteers, businesses that gift in kind some of their work or their products. And definitely, this is one of our key volunteers for that particular build. He installs all the cabinets in our kitchens, and that's a big deal. I mean, the kitchens are an expensive thing, but not for us. Fortunately, we have a lot of leverage and different community contacts to help that to not be such an expensive endeavor. So the community impact and volunteers is part of our program is that we want our homeowners to not, like we believe in a hand up, not a hand out, where they're investing time, their sweat equity, they're working on the house themselves. We require financial education, whether that's through us or something else we certify as appropriate. And home maintenance and these different things that we're partnering with them in the short term and the long term to be successful on. And that's a fun part about our program is we're not just saying, here's a house and we believe that's going to fix all the social economic issues you're having and yay. We're saying, hey, we can help you get to where you're gonna be able to navigate all the new things that come with homeownership and make this into a life-changing event for you. So currently, the affordable covenant model that we use, which was referred to as a permanent affordability covenant, but it's now perpetual is the appropriate word for that. We use a 99-year model where every time the house sells, that's actually a covenant that has to be re-signed. It has to sell to another low-income household. So the wealth building opportunities for these households is reduced, right? Just like we discussed earlier, the ability to resell it and make a large profit, that's not what we're in it for. We're in it for, we set you at an affordable price now. As your income increases, you will still be paying this affordable price. You can then leverage those funds to save money for a future down payment on a larger house or whatever it is and that's where the wealth building will start kicking in with us. So I believe we do both. I believe we're a community asset and helping the community to have an asset that will continue to be passed on from 80% of low AMI households. But we're also helping the individuals that do buy our houses to be able to leverage that and build wealth. So I'm very excited about the permanent affordability covenants. That's kind of my jam. We probably will be pivoting should we get lift, which I imagine we will, to a slightly different model, but we will be keeping our extra padding. We won't just, I can't imagine us just keeping only the land like the lift requires. I see us still having additional on top because that's really the direction we're headed is that community asset. Is that the last slide I have?
That's the last one.
Okay, so,
This one, because that's good.
okay, I like that. So, we do, like I've talked about, we have a lot of community partnerships. We build all of our homes to be ADA. That's what we're into that we think that in the long term, for you to be able to age in place, that's the method that we need to use. Regardless of funding sources we get, we are very extremely unlikely to ever go above selling a house to anyone over 80% AMI because that's HFHI's rules, Habitat for Humanity International. There's some ways we can go around that, but that's not of our interest. So, and I think that's all I felt I needed to, what you got for me, Paul?
The cottages will be sold as well.
Yes, sir.
And would they qualify for VA loans?
Yes,
That's great.
yeah, and the Veterans Services of Tillamook County are actually one of our sponsors and advocates and partners. So they are very interested in really making that. Yeah, I would love to see all 8 of them. Originally, I had just hoped 1, which would be 6. Because I thought that 12 might be a little hard to find 12, but I think it'll be fun to see where that heads.
Well, I think, the VA loan with no down payment, mortgage insurance, it's a big, it's an easy sell.
Yeah,
Did you say this is Bay City or?
it is, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
How close is to your existing properties or your former properties that you've sold?
So are you referring to like Habitat Row and basically, okay, yeah, it's actually right off of that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no road, so that's, otherwise I'd say if you went right down the road, it's like where the road stops and there's forest, that's where it's at.
Okay.
It's the infrastructure required to put it in.
We got the bid on the infrastructure and we're applying for pre-development because we need things like the site plans created and the engineering and, all of those to move forward with the process. But when I got the $800,000 like infrastructure just to start looking at building, I was like, wait, what? I can build 4 houses for that. It got a little hard for my heart, but.
I'm really happy to see Habitat building more than one house and to build a set of houses like this. I think this is a really good step forward and good news for the future.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, to be clear, the infrastructure will allow us to build all 12 of those houses. Our first phase with lift will be the 4 non-cottages. And then our second will be, but we need to, make sure we get that down the path because lift has very strict time frames that we need to match. And I'm not sure we can build 12 in the 3 years from beginning of lift to.
Does the lift funding help with the infrastructure or do you have to find that first and this ask isn't even scratching the surface, so are there other funding sources that you're?
So this ask can't help with the infrastructure, can help for us to really be positive about exactly what infrastructure we'll need,
Gotcha.
which is really imperative in we need. And again, it has the partnership for lift, but the lift funding we received, it can be used for the infrastructure or for
Okay.
building. My hope is to be able to, like, we've applied for infrastructure funds, so maybe supplement with the lift and have the lift help us on all of the other, the SDCs and all the other things that are gonna come down the pike on this that are gonna cost us copious amounts of dollars, but I haven't calculated out yet because I just don't want to. I think we just get started and get down the road and then get.
Stop and share and see if anyone online has any.
I think you're off the hook fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I was enjoying standing though.
Well, that was our final presentation. Did you want to have a quick little wrap up or do you want me to, are we gonna go ahead on March to do a full conversation?
Yeah, let me just wrap up by kind of explaining next steps. First, thank you to everybody who's still here, our presenters, for all of you spending, oh my gosh, almost 5 hours in this room. It's the nicest day of the year. But I'll be following up with instructions and then as we get closer to our next meeting. Our next meeting is on March 4th at our standard time and spot. March 3rd? 5th. March 5th.
It's in the March.
It's the first Thursday of the month every month at the same time and place. We will have our allocation conversation then, as always, as we have in the previous years. We will have the finance
I
committee.
think they're done.
You would be
Almost.
correct.
The finance committee will meet and they will develop an allocation framework for us to begin our conversation on as a place to begin. I'll be reaching out for you to in some way consolidate these notes so that we can easily share and project the thoughts and feelings, project highlights, etc. So between now and then, look for emails from me and participate in your committee work. We'll be kind of reviewing any committee work that needs to occur in conjunction with this at our normal committee times. Beyond that, I think that is it. Just thank you guys so much. This is a lot of work from a lot of people to put this together. And I just can't thank you enough. And Kristen, you have a comment?
Yeah, it occurs to me, this is our first meeting of the year, and it's our first meeting with Paul Fournier as our new liaison from the.
We'll have your initiation when you get her.
Carrie, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, is it every year or 2 years? Every year, the Board of County Commissioners changes up roles. So Commissioner Scar has moved on and has going on to do great things with the AOC, I believe.
Yeah, so we don't have to change our liaisonships, but we talk about it with desire. And Erin is so busy with her, she's president of Association of Oregon Counties this year, so she knows I have an interest here and I would come to some of these meetings, so I was happy to be the liaison of this group. I think you're doing amazing work.
Thank you for joining us. And FYI, there is the placard going around for Erin. And so I wanted to make sure everybody had an opportunity to sign that. This is something we traditionally do for any member that departs us. And so we're going to carry on that tradition. And then next on the agenda is public comment. And I do see a hand raised. And so this is your opportunity to ask any questions or provide comment.
Hi,
yes. Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead, Andy. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Hi, my name is Shifo Andy Shaw. I'm the Executive Director for Northwest Oregon Housing Authority. I just want to provide a public comment. I apologize for missing the Manzanita Development Project presentation earlier today. My own board meeting is scheduled between 10 and 12, and it ran an hour long. So I apologize for missing it, and I really do appreciate the commission's any and all support for the project.
Thank you very much. And actually, we ran into that because we were gonna have a liaison to your group, I think a couple of years ago. And there was always a direct conflict because of the time.
Oh, yeah, we did at the same time.
So thank you for joining us.
And then I believe, Fistbrook online, you had requested to make a public comment?
Yes, I did, and thank you for the opportunity. I first became involved with affordable housing back in the 90s when I helped construct some houses, the first housing project for the Lopez Island, which was a sweat equity project, not unlike Habitat for Humanity. And it also had some of the caveats, which I'm happy to see that are integrated into the projects now, which allowed for a certain appreciation, but not become a cash cow for purchasers or for developers. So hopefully all your projects include those things going forward. And it sounded today from what I heard that is the case. I did have some questions for the gentleman who represented the project called Common Ground project on Thompson Springs. I don't have his name right here. I assume he's still Shane. Is he still on the program?
Let me check. Yeah, Shane is still either, he might be listening only.
Background.
No.
I'm sorry.
We don't actually, we don't do questions and answers during public comment, but I'm sure that he will hear your remarks.
Oh, okay. Is he still here then? Is he on
He's
there?
still online.
Oh, good. Okay, so I was curious that the land was passed on by the Tillamook County to the Sammy's Place, which was going to build a place for young children as a sort of nature center. And then they kind of added affordable housing as kind of a selling point. That has since expired, that desire. And so I'm curious, hoping that the Common Grounds, I guess, is going to have fee title to this property, if I understood the gentleman's comments. And I would just want to know if that's the case. Will they have ownership of the entire property? And also, I came in a little late because I was in the waiting room before anybody let me enter the event today on Zoom. So I missed out. Was the true cost of this project 5 or 7 million? And does this include the millions or the amount of money that was spent for the previous infrastructure work to remove the house and also do the mitigation for environmental purposes on the property? No comment?
Madam Chair, my recommendation, because this is a public comment period and not a Q&A, I would encourage Mr. Fistbrook to watch the presentation online. Staff will make sure it gets posted right away so that he has the opportunity to do that.
Okay.
Okay, so I do have some other comments. I'm an adjacent neighbor to the property under question, and Thompson Road, which is the artery upon which the project is being developed currently as we speak. Trucks are running up and down the road here, working on the infrastructure of this project. I wonder if Aaron Scar as county commissioner, and I believe I saw Gail Uzell on there, who also is on the planning commission, who was presumably part of approving the project under its current design. If they can tell me what plans they have made to repair the rest of Thompson Road, because it's currently under the Tillamook County Local Access Program, which is essentially kind of a metaphor, or at least a euphemism for you're on your own. So if any of those people care to comment on that, I would be really glad to hear that.
Mr. Firstbrook, good afternoon. This is Sarah Absher. Thank you for joining us today. Those are great questions. And my suggestion with the road improvement requirements would be to reach out to Director Chris Lady at Public Works. As you recall, there were conditions of approval associated with the Thompson Springs land use approvals, and he would be the appropriate person to visit with about that.
Yes, well, that's where I got the euphemism for you're on your own, which was from Chris. And so I guess, no, but I'm not going to get an answer to that question, but thank you for your reply. And I did have another comment here, but it just occurs to me here that on the additional 72 units being proposed in Manzanita, adjacent to the Highlands property, all that 72 units and the 60 units that are being under construction there now, at least my understanding of the plans as I see them, are having them all have to access through the county road, which serves as an access to the state park with already an overburdened transportation corridor. If any thought's been given to actually connecting it through Highlands so some of those people who shop and work in Manzanita can access without going onto the county road. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else wanting to make public comment? All right. Since there is no other further public comment, we will see you on March 5th at 9 a.m. and we'll have, looking forward to a great discussion and go forth and be good, and hope to see you all next month.
Good job, Parker and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like I'm with you.
My big brain is.
All the time.
Does it now?